art and culture. With Indian music and dance becoming popular on the global stage, and opportunities for performance coming up in international festivals and collaborative projects, there is a renewed interest in the learning of Indian music and dance among students of Indian origin across the globe. Sampada, the Silicon Andhra Music, Performing Arts and Dance Academy, has been providing opportunities for students outside India to learn from their own gurus and get academic credentials for their artistic abilities and passion by following the structured curriculum developed by academic stalwarts in music and dance. More than 2,000 students have already enrolled and are getting the best out of Sampada. Using Canvas, the state-of-the-art learning management system, and with regular insights from stalwarts, students can pursue junior and senior certificate programs in Carnatic music, Hindustani music and Indian classical dances, Andhra-Natyam, Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi, and receive 16 university credits for each of the two levels. Sampada certification is conferred by Silicon Andhra in affiliation with Potti Sriramulu Telugu University, a NAC accredited institution in India. This brilliant initiative that helps teach Indian music and dances the original Indian way is now here. Registrations are now open. Call us on 1866 572 6723 or write to support@sampada.siliconandhra.org.
NatyaKeertanam NatyaKeertanam Natarajuku Neerajanam NatyaKeertanam Bharatamuniki Desamarpanam NatyaKeertanam Navarasabhinaya Samarpanam Vaageyakara Natya Sangeeta Chatula Sammelanam
Namaskaram all. On behalf of Sampada, I invite you all for today's panel discussion on NatyaKeertanam Edition 3. For those watching us for the first time, Sampada dedicates itself to promoting and preserving Indian classical art forms and providing opportunities for students to learn and excel in these fields by enrolling in junior and senior certificate courses in Indian classical music and dances. Over the past 6 years, Sampada has enrolled over 2,500 students and several hundred students have already graduated from this program. Sampada offers its certification in affiliation with the Pottisri Ramulu Telugu University. The NatyaKeertanam and Raga Sampada projects are especially noteworthy as they aim to showcase the work of legendary composers and musicians and provide a platform for new generations to appreciate and learn from them. Through the Raga Sampada initiative, we aim to create a master repository in video format with digital notations by involving well-known musicians in the Carnatic music world. We have already created a master repository for 50 plus songs tuned by Sri Nedunuri Krishnamurti Garu and another 130 compositions tuned by Sri Mangalampalli Baramulli Krishna Garu and several other from Dasa Sahitya and Tamil compositions. These resources are available at no cost to all the Sampada affiliated gurus across USA and Canada. Through the NatyaKeertanam project, we aim to showcase the great works of Vagekaras in Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi dance styles to start with. As a part of this initiative, we have introduced 18 lesser known compositions of Annamacharya and an additional 5 compositions of Bhakta Ramadasu in the last 2 years. For NatyaKeertanam Edition 3, we are pleased to announce that we'll be introducing another 10 gems of Annamacharya. We are fortunate to have brilliant dancers with varied backgrounds who have come forward to choreograph and present these items in Kuchipudi and Bharatanatyam dance styles. As part of NatyaKeertanam Edition 3, we would like to invite these talented performers and the musicians who provided tunes and also the curator of the NatyaKeertanam Edition 3, Dr. Anupama Kylash Garu, to the discussion today. I hope everyone will enjoy watching the panel discussion. I want to thank you all for your support. With that, I invite Anupama Kylash Garu to lead the today's panel discussion. Welcome, Anupama Garu.
So thank you, Deenababu Garu, and Namaskaram, everybody. Welcome to this panel discussion on the NatyaKeertanam project. This is the 3rd consecutive year that we are presenting NatyaKeertanam. We have had a range of dancers presenting it. We had 10 young dancers, some of the best dancers in the country present the 1st edition. We have had some stalwart dancers in the 2nd edition, where we showcased the very senior teachers and gurus and performers like Priyaji, Priyadarshini Govindji, and Praveen Kumar, and Vidya Subramaniam, and Venku Venkatachalapati, Vedantam Venkatachalapati, and so many brilliant performers of great seniority. This year, once again, I'm extremely excited that I've been able to bring this set of brilliant, absolutely brilliant dancers to NatyaKeertanam with a completely new set of Annamacharya compositions. These compositions are varied, they are a wide range of songs. We have Namavalis, we have Rupa Leela Varnanas, we have songs which discuss the emotions of the Sakhis, the emotions of the Naikas. We have songs which are, based on the birth of Krishna, festivities. We have so many, a wide range of songs. And each and every of these 10 songs that we have for this edition is filled with a very different kind of a bhava. And it is to discuss this because each of the dancers is unique in their own approach, their training, their pedagogy, their understanding of the art form. So we wanted to hear it from them, what they felt, how they experienced this particular song that was given to them, and how their training methodology added and enhanced their own understanding of the composition with which they have worked and spent time with. So I'm welcome all of you, and it's great to have you all in NatyaKeertanam. I know many of you are busy, and many of you are also, congratulations for all of you who have received the Bismillah Khan Awards from the Sangeet Natak Academy. A big round of applause to all of you. And I know that it's a great, it's a great feeling, and you are all going to still perform. You're still waiting to perform on that dais. And we're so happy that you were able to spare the time to spend this evening with us, so that, you could tell us something about your entire process of, choreography. So what I will do is I will just address random questions, and each of you please, talk to us. And if anybody else wants to add or say something, please do that. First, the person whom I will be talking to, if you could, first give me your answer or your reply. And then if anyone remembers something, please do add, because I want this to be a free-flowing discussion. This is a discussion between artists and, dancers with varied experiences with Sahitya. So I don't want it to be just I question, you answer, I question, you answer. I want it to be a free-flowing discussion on anything that strikes you when you listen to the other person's explanation about a particular song. So I will just go randomly. No hierarchy here. Whatever strikes me. Okay, let me ask Navya. I thought something interesting, which I thought of when I was looking at Navya's song is, see, all of us do abhinaya, all of us, have done padams and javalis and compositions like that. Now, what struck me about your song, Navya, is that it is a kandita naika. And kandita is one of the most commonly danced naikas, actually. And she's she's a very favorite naika also, because everyone likes to give their lover an earful, So, being a common naika, kandita, Kshetraya also has so many kandita naikas, and, you find so many in javalis, so many in Sarangapani, so many in kandita naikas are there across Telugu literature. How did you find Annamacharya's kandita? And, how did you work with it? Because when we discussed the tone also, we saw that it was a very different kind of a tone. So tell us about your experience, Navya.
Sure, Raka. First of all, at the outset, thank you so much to all of you, because it's been a great experience for me working with this poem. Actually, I've listened to a lot of your earlier workshops for Tamrapatra, and, you've spoken about Annamacharya's poem, his approach. And I realized here that he actually gives it to you on a silver platter. Everything is given to you. Right? So you don't have to, as an artist, go hunting for metaphor or ways to express it. But the challenge is, in that given line, how do you express that given line? Because there's a plethora of emotions that are hidden there, right there.
Exactly.
And the kandita naika here, usually you have like an Ashtapadi, where she actually tells him to leave. She admonishes him. She's rebuked, she's rude. Whereas here, she's very clever. You see the naika has nicely camouflaged her lines in subtle sarcasm, if I can say so.
Yes.
And very intelligently written, and very deftly, the way it's written, because when I was reading it over and over again, first, I think I had a couple of discussions with you, trying to understand where is she coming from? Is she upset? Because obviously she sees her Lord come back, she sees a telltale signs of his dalliance with another woman. So under normal circumstances, you would be upset with all of this. But what I realized is she's figured it all out, and she knows exactly how to address it. So much so that if I was the person, if I was the man, I wouldn't know how to respond to her lines. Should I be careful in the way I address those lines, or should I be abrupt in the way I answer her back? So that was very interesting part of it. And to understand the psyche of the naika was very interesting for me, because every time I would read it, I would start laughing.
Yes.
Because there are some few lines there where she says, "Oh my God, you look so exhausted. Shall I just sprinkle some rose water on you?" At that point, you're like, okay, how do I do that? Am I upset at this point? Or should I be sarcastic at this point? And you'd be very discerning about those lines. You can't cross the line either, because ultimately it's Venkateshwara there.
Yes.
Right? So you have to keep all that in mind and then work on this poem. So it was very interesting for me there. And that kind of kandita was interesting. And I think I learned quite a bit while choreographing that. There were many such small, he's given it to you, even the way he says, look at yourself in the mirror, how you look.
Yeah.
So how do you respond? Somebody showing you the mirror. So like you said, it's a reflection. It's also about asking him, do you see who you are? But in a very subtle, sarcastic way. So I found that very interesting. And I think I have to keep doing it over and over again.
Yes.
Because even while I was...
grow on you gradually,
Yes, has to. Because even while I was recording it, I would stop. I would say, oh my God, I could have added this extra layer to it.
Yes.
Because it's a plethora of emotions right there. So I'm really looking forward to delving deep.
That's the whole idea. I want all of you to, delve deeper into your own songs. You've done it now, but this is like only the draft one, it'll just keep growing. And, to add to what Navya says, there's one interesting feature of Annamacharya. In the Pallavi, usually he will add one word. There'll be one word or a phrase which tells you the intent of the poet at that point of time. So, it's interesting that in Navya's Kandita, he adds this word Udigamu. Udigamu means slavery, almost, to do some kind of to be a slave. That itself brings out the sarcasm of the song. So she doesn't say, what is it you have to say to me? She says, tell me, what slavery do you expect from me? So she says it in that way, So
Anupama, for the benefit.
Yes.
For the benefit of audience, maybe you can just read one verse, what the song that Navya ji choreographed. Yeah. Because we're talking about naikas and naikas, but people, the audience, for the benefit of audience.
So it simply says, Emi setu cheppavayya, edi naku udigamu. So it is not like, she's saying it so sarcastically. She says, after all, the other woman is the one whom you really are interested in. And I'm just you coming to me so that I'm your slave. So this kind of a dichotomy very beautifully he brings out. And I'm sure it's going to be great to watch Navya do this. So let me go to Sri. It's a completely different kind of a song from what Navya's done. There is this very beautiful, it says, Enta singarinchukontivi. The Sakhi is asking the Naika, she says, how much are you going to decorate yourself? And then she said, it has many comparisons. The piece has many comparisons. And what I found very interesting is that it has a very mischievous tone, which is so perfect for Kuchipudi. It kind of brings out the mischief that is there in Kuchipudi. So tell me, what was your approach? Because I know you approach Sahityam very differently, especially looking at the Kuchipudi, idiom. So how did you work with this song?
Thank you all, first of all, for inviting me for this, be a part of this beautiful festival. And it was really fun working on this choreography. Actually, I would use the word fun. As Navya said, it was very explicit. Everything was very clearly put. The lines were very clear. So all you had to do was understand the critique and just use a little bit of your brain to add to it. And for me, it was a very interesting experience because, I'm working on the concept of Sakhi. Okay. And here, the Sakhi is the central character, and that is entirely different from the Sakhi that you see in Gita Govindam or in, maybe Bhama Kalapam or Usha Parinam. It's very different. The mediator is very, very different and very straight answers and taking the Naika ahead. And what I found very interesting was, with all the metaphors that she was giving, it's like it's kind of a nudge to you. Why do you have to do all this? You're good enough, yeah. Sometimes we survive
Correct.
on our girlfriends. The conversations that we have and the directions that we get, and that kind of direction was there in the whole song. So initially I started it with approached it with fun, but later kind of ended it with a concept where you are not separate from him. It's like you don't have to do all these things to please him, but you are equivalent. Or when it comes to a Purusha Prakriti, like who is better, who is the superior, who has to surrender, doesn't come there. At the point, like both are puppets in each other's hand. So that coming together, I try to bring it in the end. But before that, it was all about a friend talking to another friend and making her feel that just be yourself. You're good enough for to God Himself. The lines were so explicit and
Yes.
and you'll have to watch it. It was very difficult to do at some point. Some of the lines were like really out there.
Yes. Yeah. So
Usually
yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And
Go ahead.
usually I go for more layers and philosophy and all, but this time, actually I spoke to you also about
Yes.
I just wanted to have some fun and just go with it. And I really enjoyed working on it. And as you said, it is going to grow on me and work,
Yes.
develop in a better way, I guess.
So I actually had two criteria when I was choosing the songs. One is and strangely this criteria is completely opposite to both criteria are opposite to each other. One, I basically know everyone's kind of dancing, so I wanted to choose a song which will suit the person's dancing. The second criteria was I also wanted to choose a song which will push them out of their comfort zone also. So I mean, I know they're both dichotomy. It's a dichotomy, but I also wanted to think of both aspects. One that will really suit you, and one that will kind of nudge you out of the comfort zones that we all get used to comfort zones. So I also thought we'll play a little with this whole idea. So that was my thing. And
you really did.
Yeah. And I totally understand what Sri is saying, because Annamacharya's naikas, they are very volatile. And the Sakhis or the characters, they are very volatile. He always used to call Annamacharya's naikas Jiva naikas. That was a word he always used to use. He used to say they don't conform to a particular classification. They are very volatile. They can change any minute. They are really like live women, real women with real relationships. So this is what he always used to say, and that you can see in many of the songs that all of you are dancing. So okay, let's go to our both our male dancers.
Sense of curiosity in all of us.
Yeah,
Disappeared.
I know, he suddenly disappeared. Okay, we are waiting for you to come back, Pavitra. All right, I'll come back to Pavitra. Let's speak to. Okay, there he is. So what I wanted to ask you was,
yes,
when I was looking at your song, I mean, when I was thinking of that particular song, it's a very, very unusual song of Annamacharya. Actually, I haven't seen another song like that in all the songs that I have, looked at. The metaphors are very, very unusual, very abstract also. The metaphors are very abstract, and they are a combination of very visual ideas, at the same time very abstract also, very esoteric. Like, the connection of, like, for example, for our viewers, there is one metaphor in the song which says that, when the Majjanam or the Abhishekam is done to Vishnu, all those little streams of water looks like they are joining the ocean. He is the ocean himself. So there is a very abstract, esoteric idea like this, which is also very visual, but at the same time very esoteric. So tell me, Pavitra, I'm very curious to see, because you are a person who likes to do abstract and also very visual kind of stuff, and you use your body very beautifully to bring the ideas out. So tell me, what was your movement scheme? How did you plan this whole piece, and what was working with it for you? Tell me.
Namaste Akka. First of all, the Hamir Kalyani Ragam itself
very
gave it
yes,
all the body which was required.
Yes,
the way
absolutely.
It has been taken right from the first note. So it moved me so much. First, so there was one initial choreography what I started with.
Okay.
And then I had to re-choreograph it because as I always feel that more we dive deeper, we have many more ideas which come in. The best idea what I kept was, which actually came, was the line what you already mentioned.
Yes.
I also thought the idea of where as we have Abhishekam to the idol of Venkateshwara, and that looks majestic. For Venkateshwara, maybe the same Abhishekam is the devotees who run towards him like rivulets.
Beautiful, lovely.
So that idea also, so for them, he is the ocean, and they all like a magnet go towards him. So I think this idea which came out, and every paragraph, every charanam had its own meaning.
Yes,
as it's very straightforward. So how every single sangati can be brought in and made it interesting. The last charanam had one very beautiful idea where Venkateshwara himself, who is the rich of the richest lords.
Yes.
Like he himself is a jewel box. That's what it says.
Yes.
If the jewel box itself has Padmavati sitting on him, on his chest, how beautiful, how magnificent it can look.
Yes.
That idea just I was stunned there.
Yes.
Initially, when I started, as I already mentioned, it was a very simple thought what I had to, maybe he already has Nana Rupa, means Nana Rupa Dharudu, it seems, it's like I thought he just has Dashavatara as Rupa.
No,
very
that is where Annamacharya tricks you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. So then it looked very straightforward. And as I dived deep into the charanams, it had so many flavors.
Yes.
I think that is what my learning experience was this, that how same Kirtanam can have so many flavors to it.
Yes. So naturally, see, the Pallavi of his song is Nana Rupa Dharudu Narayanudu Vide. Now, the first time, the moment you hear it, you will think of Dashavatara.
Yes.
You will think, okay, there are, he has come in so many rupas, so many Vibhava avatars he has taken. You will think he will take that trajectory, but he will not. So my dance guru, Uma Ramarao Garu, she used to call Annamacharya quiz master. She used to say he's like a quiz master. He will completely confuse you. He'll give you multiple choice questions and he'll say, okay, you pick what. So he will never take the expected trajectory. Even though the Pallavi may lead you there, but when you read the charanams, like Pavitra said, you will be in shock. You will just not understand, what is happening. So that is what is very, very interesting about, the way he works with it. So thanks, Pavitra. Yes. And I want to speak to Mutyam now. So Meeru, I will translate in English I'll be speaking to him in Telugu. So for all of you, just to know, he was given a song which is based on an Archa Swarupa of Govindaraju. So even in the context of Chidambaram, we hear of Tillai Govindaraju. And the Tirumala also has a very beautiful Govindaraja-swami temple. So Annamacharya is actually describing the complete form of this Archa Swarupa called Govindaraju here. So మీది అంటే ఒక అర్చ స్వరూప వర్ణన కదా ఇది. గోవిందరాజుని అసలు ఎలా పడుకున్నాడో, ఎలా శ్రీదేవి భూదేవి తన పాదాల దగ్గర ఎలా ఉన్నారో, తర్వాత తన అలంకారం ఏంటి, ఇలాంటివన్నీ అందులో మనకి వర్ణన ఉంది. మీరేమో ట్రెడిషనల్ కూచిపూడి ఒక సంప్రదాయం నుంచి వచ్చారు. మీ నాన్నగారు ఐ నో వెరీ వెల్, కేశవ్ ప్రసాద్ గారు, అండ్ చాలా గ్రేట్ స్కాలర్, అండ్ హీ కమ్స్ ఫ్రమ్ ద లీనేజ్ ఆఫ్ ద కూచిపూడి ఫ్యామిలీ. సో మీ ట్రెడిషనల్ బాణి ఏదైతే ఉందో, మీరు అంటే మీ నాన్నగారు, మీ తాతగారు, వీళ్ళందరి దగ్గర నుంచి మీరు నేర్చుకున్నటువంటి బాణి, ఈ పర్టిక్యులర్ డిస్క్రిప్షన్స్ కి అది ఎలాగ మీరు దాన్ని ఆపాదించారు? అంటే ఈ ఒక అర్చ స్వరూప వర్ణన, దీంట్లో మనకి కూచిపూడి బాణి మూవ్మెంట్స్ కానీ, కూచిపూడికి సంబంధించిన డ్రమటైజేషన్ కానీ, మీరు దాన్ని ఎలా తీసుకొచ్చారో మాకు కొంచెం చెప్పండి.
నమస్తే అక్క, అందరికి నమస్కారం. సో మీరు ఇచ్చినటువంటి కొలువై ఉన్నాడే సాంగ్ చాలా అద్భుతంగా ఉంది. దాంట్లో అన్నమాచార్యుల వారు వివరించినటువంటి వర్ణన, అంటే స్వామివారు ఎలా ఉంటారు, వారి యొక్క కార్యాలతో వారు ఎలా సఖ్యతగా ఉంటారు అనేది నేను డ్రామాటికల్ గా అంటే ఫస్ట్ శ్రీదేవి భూదేవితో కలిసి ఉన్నటువంటి విష్ణుమూర్తి. సో బట్ ఆ శ్రీదేవి చిక్కుపడుతూ ఉంటే వెంకటేశ్వర స్వామి వారు వెళ్ళి ఆవిడ దగ్గర తీసుకోవటం, ఆవిడ అలా ప్రేమగా చూస్తున్నప్పుడు అయ్యో భూదేవి కూడా ఆవిడ కళ్ళలో కనిపిస్తుంటే చూసి అప్పుడు ఆవిడ కూడా దగ్గర దగ్గర వాళ్ళందరినీ ఇలా పుట్టుకోవటం, ఆ అర్థం చూసి ఆనందపడిపోయి ఆయన రంగనాథన్ లాగా వెళ్ళవటం, ఇలా నేను చేసుకుంటూ వచ్చాను. తర్వాత దాంట్లో కొన్ని మీరు ఇచ్చినటువంటి పదాలు కూడా అందమైన కొన్ని చాలా రేరుగా దొరుకుతుంటాయి. గారవాన పాదములు అన్నప్పుడు అవన్నీ కొన్ని దాంట్లో ఎలా చూపించాలి పాదాలు అనుకున్నప్పుడు కొంచెం దాని మీద నేను రీసెర్చ్ చేశాను కొంతవరకు. సో కొన్ని మూమెంట్స్ క్యాజువల్ గా ఏంటంటే లెగ్ మూమెంట్స్ చేసి చూపించడం, తర్వాత వచ్చి మీరు కొన్ని దాంట్లో చిక్కిలిత అనే ఒక మూమెంట్ చెప్పారు. అది ఏంటంటే యాక్చువల్ గా ఏంటంటే కారుతున్నటువంటి మంచి కలిగించినటువంటి. సో ఇలాంటివన్నీ ఏంటంటే చాలా వినటానికి రేరు పదాలు చాలా అద్భుతంగా ఉన్నాయి. ప్లస్ కూచిపూడిలో ఉన్నటువంటి డ్రామాటిక్ అంతా నాకు తెలిసినంత వరకు నేను దాంట్లో ఉపయోగించి చేశాను. సో అలాగే మీరు ఇచ్చినటువంటి అరిది, ఆ పాటకు వచ్చినటువంటి అరిది చాలా అద్భుతంగా ఉన్నాయి. జడ్జిలు చాలా బ్యూటిఫుల్ గా.
అదే మేమందరం ఎదురు చూస్తున్నాము ఆ జతీస్ ప్యాటర్న్స్ కానీ, అది ఎలా చేసి ఉంటావు అనేది చాలా క్యూరియస్ గా ఉంది మాకు. So just for y'all, he says, the beauty of Kuchipudi is its dramatic value, the dramatization aspect. So the description is merely, it says that Govindaraju is sleeping with Sridevi and Bhudevi there. So he says that he wanted to dramatize the idea of him bringing Sridevi close, and then Bhudevi feeling left out, and then he brings both of them close to him, and he makes them sit there. So that is a typical Kuchipudi way of thinking, where you want to dramatize it, create a storyline, and then through the story you want to bring the ideas out. So that is what he was telling us about. So yes, yes, Babu.
If I may ask one question to Mrityunjay garu.
Please.
Mrityunjay Sharma garu, నాకు ఒక ప్రశ్న ఉందండి. మేబీ నాకు ఎక్కువ అవగాహన లేకుండా అడిగే ప్రశ్న కావచ్చు, కానీ తెలుసుకుందామని అడుగుతున్నా, అంతకుమించి చేయలేదు. అదే అయినో కూచిపూడి గ్రామంలో మీ నాన్నగారు అందరూ పరిచయం, నాకు ఇంతకుముందు కలిసిన వారినే పెద్దలందరినీ. కూచిపూడిలో ఎన్నో గొప్ప ఇవి ప్రొడక్షన్స్ బయటకు వచ్చాయి. మాస్టర్ గారు కూడా చాలా చేశారు. ఇట్లా అన్నమాచార్య కూడా కొన్ని కంపోజిషన్ జరిగినాయి. అయితే ఒక ప్రశ్న ఏంటంటే, ఇప్పుడు ఇంత అన్నమాచార్య ఇంత సాహిత్యం ఉంది కదా, ఇన్ని పాటలు, వీటి మీద అంటే మనకు కూచిపూడి వారసులుగా, నాట్య వారసులుగా మీరు అందరూ అంటే ఎప్పుడన్నా ఇలాంటి చేయాలని అవగాహన అంటే ఆలోచన వచ్చిందా? దాంట్లో ఏమన్నా పరిమితులు ఉండి ఏమైనా ఆగిపోయామా మనము? లేదంటే ఎందుకు దీని మీద ఎక్కువ ఇవి ఇంత ముందు ఎందుకు బయటికి రాలేదు అనేది నాకు తెలుసుకోవాలని ప్రశ్న. ఏంటి దాంట్లో ఉన్న మన సమస్యలు ఏంటండి? ఇప్పుడు తెలుగు వారు కాని వారికి దీని గురించి సాహిత్యం అర్థం చేసుకోవడం కొంచెం కష్టం, అర్థం చేసుకోగలను. బట్ మనం తెలుగు వారిగా తెలుగువాడు అన్నమయ్య, తెలుగు పద కవితా పితామహుడు, ఎందుకు మనము ఇవి ఎక్కువ బయటికి తీసుకురాలేకపోయామనేది నాకు ప్రశ్న వచ్చింది.
మెయిన్ గా కారణం ఏంటంటే అన్నమాచార్యుల వారు రాసినటువంటి 32,000 సంకీర్తనలని మనకి ప్రచారంలో ఉన్నాయి. దాంట్లో మనకి ఎక్కువ ఇప్పుడు ప్రెజెంట్ ఏంటంటే రొటీన్ గా వస్తున్న పాటలు ఎక్కువ పబ్లిక్ లోకి వెళ్తున్నాయి. అది కాకుండా కొత్తవి తీయడానికి ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే యాక్చువల్ గా మెయిన్ గా సాహిత్యం తెలుసుకోవడం అనేది చాలా తక్కువ మందికి ఉంది. నాకు తెలిసినట్టు. సో అన్నమాచార్య గురించి యొక్క సాహిత్యం చాలా అద్భుతమైనటువంటి సాహిత్యం. ఏంటంటే వారు రాసినటువంటి మంచి మంచి కీర్తనలు అవి చదివి వాటి యొక్క అర్థాలు తెలుసుకుని దాన్ని కంపోజ్ చేయాలి. అది తెలుసుకుని అది అంటే మనం ఏ కంటెంట్ చెప్పదలుచుకున్నామో పబ్లిక్ కి మనకి ఎలాంటి మంచి మెసేజ్ ఇవ్వదలుచుకున్నాము ఆ మెసేజ్ అనేది ఆ పాటను బట్టి మనం చేయాలి. ఇప్పుడు ఎలా అయిపోయిందంటే ప్రతి వాళ్ళు కంపోజింగ్ చేసేయటం, దానికి ఆ పాటకు తగ్గట్టు మెసేజ్ ఇవ్వలేకపోవటం వల్ల కొంత ఫెయిల్ అవుతుంది. ప్లస్ రెండోది ఏ పాట పడితే ఆ పాటకి ప్రతిదానికి అన్నమాచార్య ప్రతి వాళ్ళు ఒక జట్టి ప్యాటర్న్ పెట్టే చేసుకోవటం, దానివల్ల అవుతుందంటే సాహిత్య పోకడలు అనేవి చాలా దెబ్బతింది. అందులో ఇక్కడ మనకి అన్నమయ్యకి చెప్పిన సూత్రం ఏంటంటే చాలా అందమైనటువంటి తెలుగు పదాన్ని ఉచ్చారణతో చెప్పారండి. ప్రతి విషయం, ప్రతి కీర్తన మీరు చిన్న అదిగో అన్నది ఒక పాట తీసుకున్నా కూడా ఎంతో అద్భుతంగా ఉంటుంది, ఎంతమైనటువంటి సాహిత్యం ఉంటుంది. దాన్ని అన్యాయంతో చూపించాల్సిన ఎక్కువ డాన్స్ ఎలివేట్ అయిపోవడంతో ఏర్పడుతుందంటే సాహిత్య ఫలాన్ని నాశనం. సో అలాంటివి ఇప్పుడున్న జనరేషన్ లో చాలా మంది వాటి మీద ఫోకస్ చేయట్లేదు. మెయిన్ గా ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి ఏంటంటే ఈ అన్నమాచార్య దీని మీద చేయకపోవడానికి కొన్ని కారణాలు ఏంటంటే సంగీతానికి సంబంధించినటువంటి విషయాలు కొన్ని తెలుసుకునేంత అవకాశం ఇప్పుడున్న వాళ్ళకి లేదు, మా జనరేషన్. సో మేమంతా పెద్దవాళ్ళు చెప్పిన దాన్ని మేము చేసుకుంటూ అదే పరంపరలో. కానీ బట్ నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్కి ఇచ్చేది అది కాదు. మనం ప్రతిదీ భవిష్యత్తులకి ఒక మంచి సాహిత్యం ఇవ్వాలి, దానికి మంచి డాన్స్ అనేది ఇవ్వాలనేది మన అభిలాష. ఎందుకంటే మా ఫాదర్ కానీ వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా చాలా ఇలాంటి ఫెస్టివల్ చేసి మంచి మంచి లెజెండ్స్ చేయించారు. సో మాకు కూడా అలాంటి కోరిక ఉంది అయితే. బట్ అది ఈ మధ్యకాలంలో చాలా డన్ అయింది, దానికి కారణాలు చాలా ఉన్నాయి. సో ఇలాంటి అవకాశం ఇలాంటి వేదికని మీలాంటి వాళ్ళు సంపద నుంచి కానీ అనుపమ గారు కానీ ఇలాంటి వాళ్ళు ఇస్తూ ఉంటే మేము ఎన్నైనా చేయడానికి ముందుకు వస్తాం నేను అనుకుంటున్నాను.
చాలా చక్కటి సమాధానం సార్. ముఖ్యంగా మీకు వేదాంతం వెంకట్ గారికి నా ప్రత్యేకమైన ధన్యవాదాలు. ఎందుకంటే కూచిపూడి వారసులు కూడా దీంట్లో భాగస్వాములు చేయాలి, దీని ద్వారా చూపించాలి కూచిపూడి నాట్య రీతులు అనేది నేను అనుపమ గారు ఎప్పుడు అనుకుంటూ ఉంటాం. మా ప్రయత్నం కొనసాగుతూ ఉంటుంది. ఎందుకంటే that is the whole reason wherever I go, I used to see the same songs used to get repeated in every performances of Annamacharya, maybe 30 or 40 songs. And we used to get this doubt, why can't we change this? Because he has written 32,000 compositions out of maybe 14,000 or something available. And maybe only 2,000 out of 14,000 are tuned for music, but only 40 or 50 are available for dance. Can't we change this? What can we do from our part, from our side? So that is the thought process started this project. And so far we are successful in bringing out 28 compositions thanks to Anupama Garu, because we are trying to provide the translation and transliteration, the meaning of, because though it is a Telugu Sahitya, even we don't know the meaning of these Telugu words, because 600 years ago. Right?
I'll just give a small nutshell, very, very small nutshell for, our dancers here and also for the viewers who don't understand Telugu. Deenababu Garu just asked Mutyam about, being from the Kuchipudi traditional families and being fully well versed in the Telugu language. Why is it that, new Sankirtanas of Annamacharya are not being, brought out constantly? Why are we still going with, the known and the popular songs only? So he also brought out two very good points. He says, one, the Sahityam of Annamacharya is not easy to understand. Even though it is Telugu, it is a very complicated and a very idiomatic Telugu, because Annamacharya's songs not only have Telugu words, it has Dravidandhra words, it has Marathi words, it has several words, and there are many words that are archaic now, which are not being used, including ragas, which are archaic also. And for the information of our viewers, Annamacharya is the only Telugu composer for whom we have a dictionary. We have a separate dictionary only for Annamacharya. It's called Annamaya Padakosham, and it was created by a great Telugu scholar, Ravva Srihari Garu. So he has created a dictionary, and it's the only Telugu Vagyakara for whom we require a dictionary to understand Telugu. Telugu words have to be described and explained in Telugu for us to understand it. So it is not an easy process to actually comprehend and understand Annamacharya. And because there are many layers to the songs which are very difficult to understand. It's not, you will not understand Annamacharya just because you understand Telugu. So there is a lot more there, and let's hope that, you know, more and more songs will come out. Let me go to Radhika. So for all of your information, you know, there is one thing very interesting about Radhika's song is, usually when we speak, you know, when there are protagonists in a song, the Sakhi is either talking to the naika, or the naika is speaking to the Sakhi, or the naika is speaking to the hero, or the Sakhi is speaking to the nayaka. Now here in her song, Sakhis are speaking to Sakhis. So that is like a very unusual angle. There is one older Sakhi and a one mature Sakhi who is speaking to the other immature Sakhis. And it is not only that which is happening, there is also a lot of other activity going on in the song. You know, the Naika's viraha, the Naika's condition, then the anxiety of sending messages to the Nayaka, the anxiety of the older Sakhi to control the actions of the younger Sakhi. So it's a very busy song. So let's ask Radhika, like, you know, how did you do this? It's very unusual. You know, Sakhi speaking to a Sakhi is quite an unusual angle to the whole thing. Yes, Radhika.
Namaskaram, everyone. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So yeah, as you said, Daka, it was such a busy song. It took me a long time to think on what actually I need to present.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, it's just a 12 minutes music, recorded music, right? So
yes.
I had to really filter and see if I need to portray only the mature Sakhi, or do I need to also show the other Sakhis, and also do I need to show the naika?
Yes.
And so there were already three different age group people or characters in the composition. And then in the end, there's also that Venkateshwara himself appears.
Correct.
To add to it. So it was like, what do I actually show? So as you said, it's just a very draft version, and there is so much scope in the song. You know, we can add a lot of layers and maybe try and show each character in a charana or something like that, which could be worked out. So for now, I have considered the mature Sakhi as the main naika in the Padam, and rest of them are just, you know, shown in a few lines or
in the course of her actions.
Yeah, in course of her action. So I have considered her as the main naika.
Okay.
Because too many things, as you said, there were too many things happening. You know, sending messages to the nayaka, and then going and looking at the state of the Alamelumanga, or, you know, going and looking at her, the way she is pining due to separation from the Lord.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you keep her calm when you also send message to the Nayaka? So, you know, that was, yeah, it was challenging, but very interesting also, because there were a lot of changes in mood and the behavior.
Correct.
When I moved from one character to the other.
Yes.
Each character was very different. So it had to be approached. It had to be approached very differently. So it was very interesting, and I just enjoyed working on it. It was lovely working on the piece.
And this piece that Radhika has done, I especially love the Pallavi, because it's very typically Annamacharya. He says, Virahambu Vedaye, Virula Mona Vadaye. That is so beautiful. That is, if you understand Telugu, that is such a beautiful usage of the language. He says, Virahambu Vedaye, Vedi means heat. As her Viraha is getting heated up or more intensified, the corners of the flowers, Virulu means flowers, Mona, the corners, Vada, they're wilting. So this is, she's talking about the Sakhi. And the whole tone of the song for me is like, a house in which a wedding is going on. So like, something like that is,
Yeah,
but
true.
it was like, we people are doing this. They're saying, hey, call the lights guy, you people send the, things to that house. So this Sakhi is doing all this, she's on one side, she's saying, come on, somebody quickly put Gandham on Alamelumanga because she's in Viraha. Come, one of you quickly go and call the Nayaka. So this is a complete activity going on. And this is another beautiful feature of Annamacharya, that it's not a feature you will find in Kshetraya or in Sarangapani or Sabhapataya or any of the other Telugu poets. This Annamacharya's songs are like cinema, they are like a screenplay. They are not just like, one Sakhi is sitting and one Naika is sitting and saying, okay, this happened to me and that happened to me. He incorporates an entire atmosphere, which you can literally write a script for. You can write a screenplay for it. So that is his typical technique. And it's beautiful the way he incorporates such components here. Now, in contrast, let's ask Srividya that, the song I gave her is actually a very unusual piece. Each and every song is actually unusual, what I chose, because, they say something, the intent is something else. All the songs are very complex, all the 10 songs. Srividya's, I gave her a piece where Sita is talking. Sita is the protagonist. Now, first of all, Sita first person songs are very rare. But Annamacharya has Sita in the first person talking in several contexts. That's what is interesting. That is post her, going to being sent to Vanavasa. She's reviewing literally her entire life with Rama. So this is a much later sequence. It's not during Dhanurbhanga, or it's not during the fresh romance of Rama and Sita, but it is Sita towards the end of her avatar almost. So yeah, Srividya, tell us, how you worked on this piece.
Hello, Anupama Garu. Namaskaram to all. Thank you so much for thinking of me for this beautiful project. So I just latched on to one of the statements you made. You thought of each dancer and their movement paradigm, and then you thought of a song for them. So this was in the very beautiful Arabi Raga, and I'm telling you, my entire tech team was swaying at the end when Chevadera Gandikota Sri Ramachandra was playing. Everybody was swaying, all the cameramen and all of that. So as you said, this is in Sita's voice, and Sita is sort of reviewing her entire life. But there is the lilt and the energy of Arabi. So there is no sigh at the end of the journey that is done. Her role has come to a conclusion, but there is no feeling of heartbreak that, I have gone through such, so much of toil and so much of heartbreak really for the both of us. She's not looking at it like that. She's looked at it as a great dramatic journey that has now come to an end, and she just wants to quickly do a recap of it.
Yes,
exactly. So the only way I thought that this could be done was that since her role is over, she has now become Mahalakshmi. She is the mother goddess. She is Bhagavati Mahalakshmi, and she's now become that. And then when she wakes up, or when she wakes up to find herself in that form, she thinks, oh, so I'm here. So I'm here now, which means my previous role has concluded. But just for fun, let me just go through that once again. As the consort of Rama, let me just do a quick recap of what all I went through, what all we went through before I settle down in this particular role of Bhagavati Lakshmi. So, I mean, some of the words, when it starts off, it shows Sri Rama breaking the bow. All of that is something we've heard. Then the Vanaras crossing the ocean. It's like she's looking into a well. She's looking at that scene being played out, and Rama's, sighing and reaching out across the oceans, wanting to be with her, and the same thing for her on this side. Some of the words that Annamacharya used, the Paidi Patima, very old world Telugu words that, I enjoyed becoming acquainted with. The fact Paidi Patima right next to him, when he could have actually found an easy local solution, which was quite valid for the Kshatriyas at that time. But he chose not to, shows the depth of his love for her. So she says, what can anybody even, what can they even say when this is what you're doing, holding a, shattered heart within, you still project a mature front and you've not shirked any of your responsibilities. What greater love can there be? She says, throughout the entire song, there were moments of such great overwhelm. I was overwhelmed. I had to stop, take stock of myself, pull myself, and then go ahead again with the song. And in the very end, that Sevadera Gandikota really had, I was like, I have to. Obviously, this is like Uraga Dini Ruchi Inka Perugutundi. So I have to do this one more time, couple more times, many more times to. It was a beautiful experience. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I loved the connotations in the song, and Pavitra will be leaving us now because he has a rehearsal for his show tomorrow. So yeah, thank you so much, Pavitra, and it was great having you here. Of course, we would have loved to have you here till it was over, but I know you told me you have a rehearsal, so please go ahead. And thank you for being there, and looking forward to the showcase. Yeah. Okay, bye, Pavitra. And yes, it was really an amazing song actually, because there is so much discussion in the modern world about how wrong Rama is, how right Rama is, what is the thing, what has Rama done, has he done right towards Sita, has he not done right towards Sita? So there are so many arguments, and a poet who lived in 1408, between 1408 and 1503, with one song, he smashes all our doubts, and he says, in Sita's voice itself, she says, just give me the first line, Srividya.
Rajapuni Keduredi Ramachandra.
She says, Rajapuni Keduredi Ramachandra. She says, who is there to compare with you, O Ramachandra? And every word, every line ends with the word Ramachandra. And she's reiterating, she says, whatever you did as a king, as an issues of gender or, patriarchy, so many things we're talking about. But it was very interesting for me to note how a poet of that era, looks at this whole retrospect, in retrospect, how he looks at all the proceedings of the Ramayana and makes Sita say, things which are very interesting. So it was definitely an unusual song for us to deal with. And yeah, see, I know that we are going one after the other, so don't mind, so the thing is, I cannot have everyone talking at the same time. So and I'm asking them in a certain order, so please bear with me. I know we are 10 of us, so I want to come to Arupa, because it's a very, in comparison, it's a very different kind of a song. Again, a very deceptive song, what Arupa has, so she says, when you look at the Pallavi of the song that she was given, what you get from the Pallavi and what you get from the Charanams again is very different. Because here the protagonist, the person in the Pallavi is asking, Vintana ne tanaku vesalavadu. This is typical Annamacharya. He calls him a person who dons many veshalu, or many, Arupa, careful. So a person who takes on many veshams. Everyone knows what a vesham is. So she says, Vintana Netanako, am I something unusual for this man? Am I somebody new for this man who himself takes on a new form every time? And then everything is so couched. All the connotations are couched. Let's listen to it because there are the Dashavatara references in this song. And let's see what Arupa, has to say about this. Yes, Arupa.
Thank you, Akka. Thank you, and thank you, entire team. Thank you, Deenababu, for selecting me to be part of this particular process. And very unlike Navya's song or unlike Shri's song, I think Annamacharya was a complete for me when Akka gave me this song. And more than that, I think Akka was also like that because you threw me a line saying this is a Shringara Pada. And then when you start, okay, Shringara Pada and Dashavatara. So how do I relate? Like you cannot think your lover as Matsya Kurma Varaha like that. I think that was the first speed breaker. Then do I do just Matsya Kurma Varaha Narasimha like that? And mind you, even that was not straightforward. In this particular song, even that is not like, okay, he's saying you came as Matsya Kurma Varaha.
No.
And even when he was talking about somebody as calm as Buddha, it was a Puranic Buddha.
Exactly.
It wasn't one of the stories that you normally know. So I can't show a cow and not slaughter and nothing of that.
No.
So, of course, Akka's entire explanation helped a lot in constructing the avatars, because otherwise if I would have approached the song, you cannot identify the avatars even in this particular song. Such were the metaphors. This was only a metaphor and not a symbol, actually, which was used. But as I was doing it, since she threw me that line that Shringar, this is a Shringar, and she says that he has so many roles, probably I have become unknown to him. So then I started relating the avatara to the state the heroine is. Like, is my heart swimming? Is there a digging, or do you think my flesh is like Hiranyakashipu's flesh, that you are digging your nails into it? So those were the connotations I tried thinking, and thank you, Akka, for pushing me, because I don't think I would have ever thought a Dashavatar being related to Shringar Pada unless and until you would have given me this particular song. So that was a very beautiful process, and every avatar and brain starts churning that, okay, how do you relate this avatar? What happens now? What is this state going to be like? So that was interesting. Yes, we will all, I'm sure all the dancers will revisit this particular song again and again to bring more connotations and bring, when I started, I thought the song was very long, but when I was recording it, I was hoping that I wish there were some more lines.
Little more time, yes. Yes.
So, but it was a very difficult, very challenging song. And thank you, Akka, for holding my hand and taking me through it.
Welcome. So, see, this is one thing about Dashavataras which I wanted you to hear from Arupa. The Dashavataras of Annamacharya, he will never mention the avatara, the name of the avatara. Very rarely he will mention. You will never find an Annamacharya Kirtana in which he says, this is Matsya Avatara, this is Kurma, this is Varaha. He will only give you clues. I told you he's a quiz master, right? He will say, Indariki Abhayamu Lichi Cheyi. So he will only say, this is what the hand of Swami does. This is what it does. But he doesn't say, this is Matsya. He will never say that. He will never tell you directly, ever. And we have to figure it out. And sometimes it is so indirect that you really don't know which avatara even he's talking about. Sometimes, it becomes so abstract that you don't know which avatara he's talking about. And it is only maybe Dolayam is the only place where he actually uses the word Matsya Kurma Varaha, which MS Garu sang. Maybe one of the only songs in which he actually uses the words. And to add to what Arupa said, there is one very interesting song of Annamacharya which has 10 charanams. Usually all his songs will have one Pallavi and 3 charanams. Anupallavi was not there at the time of Annamacharya, so there is no Anupallavi. But this particular song has 10 charanams, and it starts with the Pallavi Dashavidha charanam. Now, in this, every 2 lines of every charanam, the first 2 lines is an avatara, and the second 2 lines is a Shringara twist to the avatara. And it's there within the lyric itself. So it is a very, very unusual composition of Annamacharya, and I'm hoping that one day, one of us can take it up, or maybe we can all multiple take it up and do 1 charanam each. We have 10 people here, so that will be a beautiful way of doing this. So yeah, we'll go to a Kuchipudi performer. We just spoke to a Bharatanatyam. So Shweta and Lakshmi, please wait, don't mind. So we will go to Pratiksha now. Pratiksha's song is, something, I don't know, literally, when I heard the music of that song, I could literally see Pratiksha dancing. Because, it is that kind, this typical Vaijayanti ma'am's, style, the way the song comes. It is a beautiful song which describes the birth of Krishna. And it is very interesting because he's not simply saying Krishna was born and this happened. It is like a conversation that is going on in the entire village and in the entire area, where everyone is like, do you know that, somebody like this is born? And this is what everyone is saying. It's that kind of a tone, the whole thing. It's like everyone's talking very animatedly about this strange, avatara that has suddenly come, and then, he's doing all these glorious things, and everyone cannot believe, and they're trying to figure out, is he God? Like, who is he? Who's this little boy who's been born? So that's the kind of tone of the whole thing. And so tell me, Pratiksha, I wanted to ask you 2 things. One, you come from a lineage of theater also. Your grandfather, your mother, everyone, they're theater artists as well. And also, I know that, you and your Vaijayanti ma'am, you do a very dramatic, there's a lot of drama in what you all do. And how did you training, in theater and of course in Kuchipudi also being a theatrical form, this plus your own, insights and your own understanding of the song, how did you work on this piece, and what is the dramatic components like? Your pedagogy, how did it help you work on this?
Firstly, I have to admit that Deenababu sir, before he started, he said, we have taken out the rare gems of Annamaya. And it really, when everybody is describing that song, I'm feeling so jealous. I'm like, why didn't I get this song? I have to admit it. Because, truly, this, like, each song is so diverse, and, you really feel like probably I should have got this. But then it is only, that feeling lasts only until the next speaker or you describe the next.
And then you feel that you should have got that one instead.
Yeah, I'm like, why didn't I get this? But yeah, anyway, when you literally sent me the song and when I heard it, of course, as you said, it is it was a very Kuchipudi-ish song because of
exactly.
the it was very lively. The song itself in Madhyamavati is so lively, and the way it is sung. And of course, it's the subject also is on the birth of about the birth of Krishna. I didn't expect that I would get something like this. When you told me about the project, I was more on the line, thinking on the lines of maybe I'll be getting something to do with Venkateshwara or, and as you said, because in general, as an artist, I like working on characters.
Yeah.
Maybe it's to do with the genes or the family or my upbringing of watching my mother portray so many characters.
Right.
And also, I generally like to work on one emotion that goes deep. So in the lyrics, generally, that it's not a very straightforward song, and it needs a lot of thinking, and it opens up a lot of depth for you to think and to ponder and to, really live it. But here, you really put me in a spot because, as you said, you knew what to give to which dancer, and also you wanted to kind of put us out of our comfort zone. Because for me, when I heard it and when I heard your transliteration and I went through the lyrics, it seemed like quite a straightforward interpretation. Like Navya also was saying, it was given to you on a silver platter. It was about the birth of Krishna and the after effects of it seems. And also here, it's not a direct speech. It's like an indirect speech. It seems it's like this. It seems he's going to protect.
Atta, the word atta keeps coming.
I think you had also mentioned this in your...
Yes, atta means apparently. So they're talking about him. they're saying, we heard he was born, illa klese nata. So that means there is a question. Is he really that? Is he really that? So that's what keeps happening. Yes.
So that in a way, because generally if it's a very personal experience or a relationship you've had, you have more scope and you have more liberty to interpret the way you want. Here, because it seems came in, it steered the choreography.
Negotiation, yeah. Yes.
I had to really think through in another way.
Yes.
That is one. And the other thing which I felt was, it initially felt like a plain wall, honestly. Because, okay, it seems he's going to put an end to his maternal uncle, which the whole world knows. And he's going to kill so many asuras, again, the whole world knows. So I'm like, okay, what? So then I thought, okay, Annamaya has really put me in a spot. Now I have to really maybe tap every point in the wall to see probably where it can lead me into another tangent.
Yeah.
So when it actually took me quite some days to tune into the frequency of the song and to see where, because I generally like, as Kuchipudi dancers also, we are very fond of bringing in some dramatic elements to put in some storyline. And I like to add in some element of personal emotions, like, a personal touch to it. Right. So two things came to my mind, which I've attempted to keep it as the undercurrent in the song. One is nature is the first to respond to any kind of a happening.
Yes.
So when it came to the birth of Krishna, and also, as you said, the Pallavi in general gives away the intent of the whole song. So the way the whole Annamaya has chosen is very interesting. His way of narrating is very interesting, because he directly doesn't say, okay, now Krishna is born. He says, do you know, have you heard the news? What's the talk of the town? So that sense of curiosity, and that is something that I wanted to keep through the song. And even for the narrator who's talking, I felt, even for me, it took me time to kind of digest it and become a part of it. And it's so beautiful that in every charana it unfolds like the blooming of a bud, like one petal after the other. And it's only towards the end that she kind of comes, believes that he is none other than the Lord of the Seven Hills. So the two things that I kept in mind is, one is the reaction of the nature and how it responds. Because for me, even for the narrator, that's why I've chosen, I choose to begin it with a way where the nature is telling her what happened. So that she sees that the entire cattle is running towards a particular house. She's not understanding why the waters of the Yamuna are like unusually happy. So she asks the waters. That's how I chose, because there's that sense of curiosity, something that didn't leave me at all.
Right.
I thought, okay, let me also become, let me hear it from someone else rather than just saying it like I knew it. So that is one thing. And throughout, I've tried to keep a undertone of how the nature responded, be it, Adi Shesha, we all know, is very dear to the Lord. So I've tried to suggest small places where the snake goes and is spanning the little Krishna in the cradle. Or be it the elephant that goes and offers his, the flowers to him.
Right.
Again, it shows the dichotomy of how people are very logical. So they're not ready to believe, even if it is said aloud. But the animals and the nature, because of
they know instinctively.
They know, and that sense of that surrender or love or innocence. I don't know what to really put it as. That is one thing. Oh, and the next thing that really threw me off was the last line, the last charna, where it says, "Natinchu alamel manga nayakudu tana." I'm like, all this while you're talking of baby Krishna, and now you're talking that he is the acting husband of
Alamelu Manga, that too. Yes.
So for me as a narrator, I really thought Annamaya really put me into a spot. Now I don't know how to do justice to this line. I didn't know it was, and I took me a lot of discussions with my mother to, really try to see how I can do justice, because that's a very important line, and he's so intelligently juxtaposed the two avatars here, as you also.
Yes.
And so this is where, after a lot of thinking, I thought I was, the Sutradhara concept of Yakshikan is so important, right? He's the central part. So I thought maybe I'll make my Sutradhara enter now. And I thought maybe Annamaya himself can be that. Where he comes and he's telling all these women or people who are talking about the birth of Krishna that he's none other than the Lord of the Seven.
Lord.
And when they hear it, still they're in disbelief.
Yeah.
And also because of some personal experiences, we all know that Krishna is known for his leelas, and people experience something very unusual that is hard to explain. So I have tried to show how the narrator also, she experiences some unusual things where when she sees the child, after hearing so much and maybe also talking so much, when she goes to see the child, she suddenly sees Narasimha Avatara, and she gets scared. And she sees Rama and she's in disbelief. And she wants to call her friends and show, but he seems as a very peaceful baby sleeping. So that experience she's not able to justify, and her people are also not believing. So this sense of an unexpected experience, a personal experience, I have tried to bring in. But as most of them are saying, when I see the video, I feel I could have done better here. I should have recorded this. I wish Akka had given me a longer time.
No, I mean, however long we would give you, you will still feel that way. You will still feel that way because, you know, it's a most natural thing for us to, you know, after we see our own recording and say, oh God, and I could have done so much better. So I think, yes, I think it's most natural.
What started off as a plain wall, I think it just took a whole different shape.
No, there are no plain walls in Annamacharya. So, you know, even the most innocuous song actually lands up being very complicated when it comes to Annamacharya. So, you know, in complete contrast, actually, Shweta, you know, has a song which has a beautiful alliteration. You know, the song, that's a very typical, again, a quality of Annamacharya. In songs which are usually Annamacharya songs are very wordy. There are lots of words, you know, and there's a very dense usage of phrases. But when the songs are not very wordy and the phrases are short, he uses a lot of alliteration in those songs. So I don't know why I felt, you know, the song will really suit Shweta, because it says Manini, Joli, Mani, Nedu, Vani. So, you know, it's like somebody who's got a sense of Abhinaya and also has a very good sense of how to use the body. So because the alliteration is also important there as the bhava. So it is a Sakhi coaching the naika and saying, okay, enough of your mana now, you know, just understand that he's only devoted to you. So that's what basically the song says. So let's hear it from Shweta, because, you know, being trained under the queen of Abhinaya, you know, Priyadarshini Govindji, one of the most beautiful Abhinaya exponents. So let's see how, you know, she negotiated this song. Yes, Shweta, tell us.
Namaste, Akka. Namaste, Deenababu, sir. Thank you so much for including me in this project. First of all, Akka, I have to say your voice note was really, it was not just another transliteration, but I think coming from an artist, it's a very different kind of transliteration, and it's not just a scholar perspective of the poetry and the grammar, but I think the things that you pointed me towards within your translation was very useful. One of the things I think, and this piece was, when I read it and I heard the music, I think the music kind of threw me off. It was beautiful music, but it had so much rhythm in it, which I am not used to, because even in a Kshetriya or a Sarangapani, there's a lot of
this has settled.
Going like that, and I'm, you know, in my mind also I'm thinking of all the Kuchipudi dancers like totally moving and using the kulika and everything. I'm like, what am I going to do? Especially with the BGMs, and I was like, why, Akka, did you do this to me? I would have done the song in a Viritam. But I think that was the biggest challenge. And the other thing is the words. I think a lot of the imagery, even though Annamaya is like Navya said, and everyone's reiterated, even though he's very literal, you can't do a literal dance. Whatever style you're going to present it in, you can't reduce the poetry to a translation, even if you're good with gestures, body, whatever it is. And I think that's where, when there is no space, the challenge is higher. So then what do you edit? And what essence do you take out of the entire poetry? I think was one. The other thing I think was for me, and I had many classes with Auntie on this also, was trying to understand who the Sakhi was trying to speak to. So the way the Sakhi behaves depends on who the protagonist is. Even though the Sakhi is speaking, the way the Sakhi speaks to a Radha versus a Sita, or just a general naika from Kshatriya, but she's talking to Allamalu Manga. So what is it? This Sakhi has a bit of a job to do, because Allamalu Manga is not easy to please.
Yes.
And at no point is Annamaya telling you how angry she is. She's just saying, the Sakhi is saying, don't be mad. This is not the time to, and she's not saying don't be angry. She's saying don't show your ego. So that tone itself is different. She's not doing all this to her. She's like, hey. So in that sense, and she's older, obviously, and she's saying, unlike today's friends, and we have extremely great girlfriends, but all of us are very subtle in the way we pacify our friends. We don't explicitly tell them, go do this. But this friend is like, I will tell you exactly what to do. You please go do this there. And one thing is being explicit. The other thing is each repetition is 5 times. So how many times do you show the same thing without really putting the audience into, okay, this is getting a little odd. So I think that was definitely an altogether experience. And I think, Akka, for me, the exercise which I loved most was imagining Allamalu Manga, because one of the things Auntie said to me was read a lot of other poems translated. And luckily we had a few. We had Triveni where Rao Tata is translated Paluku Denalatali. And he's, like you said, no, it's all like it's like screenplay.
Exactly.
So you can't, there's no, it's very different approach than Kshetraya. The other thing is how you have to imagine Allamalu Manga. She's the voluptuous woman. She's full of Shringara. She's not just another main character. She's really something. And she's like one of those characters that the male counterpart is almost a little scared of, right? You cannot, you don't want to upset her. So, so that being this woman, how do you tell her to do this and not whatever? And they're meant to be together. She's just in that moment. And what is her age when this fight is happening? They are divine personalities, both of them. But then how do you tell her that, look, and I think, Akka, one of the few things is, even the poetry is Shringaram. It's heavy Shringaram. But it's saying very simple things like he doesn't look at other women. He doesn't care for them. What is your problem? What can be that bad? What could he have done where he's looking at you all the time? He's showering you with attention. His whole life is you. He's smiling. Everything is for you. What do you have really to complain about? And I think for me, I loved. I was like, I wish I was Allamalu Manga and I had a friend like this, because we are clearly very important and cannot be, touched nudged too much.
Not only a friend, but a lover like that also.
A lover like that, with everything. He's beautiful. And what more do you need? And I was like, wow, I wish I was her, because this man seems to be everything. That was, and I think the Ragam also, I think that was a very beautiful choice of having Amrita Varshini and her voice. I think for me, I honestly felt it was a very strong sense of Kuchipudi music, and to get used to that tone, so the body has to move differently. It can't be like your, and we love doing padams. We enjoy that space thoroughly. But here it was not about, you had to kind of get a sense of the music and the tone. I completely enjoyed it. I wish, I wish I knew the language. At the end, I felt I wish I knew the language better, because then I think I would have punched differently. I have the meaning, I have what you have said.
I know.
But if I had done like 5 years of Annamaya pieces and then come to this, I think I would have done a little more justice. But it's like everywhere you go, the pickle is different. It's that, and I feel this character has it's not spice, it's that pickle. She's that. And I think if you don't know the pickle of that region, it's not bad. But then I was like, I need this. She's such an oomph character. But I hope I have done justice to it, especially with.
I'm sure you have.
If you have done such wonderful pieces and are so, I mean, someone if you know the language so well. So I think for me it was that, and apart from that, I had a ball of it. I loved this character. I definitely want to be. I hope I get to be Alamelu Manga at some point, but for now, I'm happy being the Saki.
No, I totally understand, and I totally get what you say. When you say that if you know the language, if you know the intricacy of the language, the way you punch, would be very different. And I totally get you, because I remember when I did Karpuram Narumo, the very famous, from the Pashuram, I had so many ideas, so many things that I wanted to, keep doing for that. But I just wish that I knew Tamil. It's a lifelong regret that I'll always have, that I cannot read and write Tamil, and I cannot really speak, because I just love Tamil literature, and I totally understand what you're saying. And I think, yeah, it's a beautiful, very, very interesting song. And the very as Shweta said, the very controlled and the very nuanced methodology that Priyadarshini ji has got from Kalanidhi ji, and the whole thing, this would be a complete contrast to that. So they would have had to really negotiate and play with it to be able to do that.
It was a beautiful experience. Like, I think, I mean, I've also seen Kuchipudi performance. I've seen Sri Lakshmi Akka, and when they use the language, like when they stop and speak the dialogue, that is, it suddenly gives you a different perspective of whichever character they have just portrayed. And I think that is extremely important when you are working with Telugu literature, also with poets. I think if you work with a poet for long enough, you get a sense of their vision, a sense of how they think. And even though we might think today that, I guess, Annamacharya is very explicit and very little, but I don't know if this was the kind of poetry that inspired that generation. So therefore, how do you read this poem, right? And not dismiss it and say it's too literal to perform. But what do you do with this information?
No, it was, the cult of the erotic, if you call it the cult of the erotic, came in right from the 12th century. And, it was there to stay, whether it's Kalidasa or whether it's Gita Govindam or any of the poetry. The erotic principle was used, as a beautiful principle to show the union between, the divine pair. And of course, I will not, that's for another rainy day. That's a long discussion, because, the whole idea of the feminine and the masculine principles being, working together in most of these theories is what I always believe, that there is an element of, the influences of Tantra and, many aspects here, which I think is very interesting. And it is only in recent times that we have this very puritanical impress and say, okay, this is too explicit for us to dance. No, nothing was ever explicit for them. It's how you negotiate it, that matters, I think, finally. So yeah, let's speak to Lakshmi. The song I gave her is also, actually, personally, I find it a very difficult song, because here also it is a Sakhi. She's also speaking to Annamacharya, but the contrast between the Sakhi here and Alamelu Manga, that is a very marked contrast, because the Sakhi is very forthright, very open, and she's speaking to an Alamelu Manga who's very reticent. So there are two very, very different qualities here which are coming. And she's not speaking to Sakhi, she's describing her to Swami. And she's telling him, she says, Sati Garvamide, Niku Singaramukada. Her, her pride or her attitude, isn't it like an ornament for you? She's telling Venkateshwara. So Lakshmi, tell us about it, because Lakshmi very quietly keeps working and she keeps doing her thing. And but I somehow feel, the kind of questions she asks when she attends the workshops or whatever, there's a lot of layering in her mind, so that's why I thought this will be a beautiful song for her to explore. Lakshmi, tell us about your piece.
Namaskaram to all the respected artists, and thank you, Deenababu sir and Anupama Kylash ma'am and the whole team of the Sampada for thinking of making me a part of it. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So like ma'am said, yes, it looked easy. Like how after listening to all of you speak, it makes a lot of sense. because most of the problems that many of you shared, I went through the same process. First and foremost, I come from the style of dancing where even Abhinaya piece is not sat and done or stood and done. It is movement. Everywhere
Yes.
there is movement.
Yes.
My guru, Dr. Vasundhara Dharaswamy, says the audience should not get bored. So don't bore the audience with your Abhinaya piece also. Add a little drita to it. So I had the same issue that Shweta ji had, where, oh God, there are beats in this, but this is an Abhinaya piece. So what do I do? Where do I draw the line? Should I include Ajati, or should I include some leg movements? I shouldn't. That was the first dilemma I had in my mind when I started working on the piece. But then I figured out I wanted. Then I came to the core of it, saying, what is it that I want to do with this? What is it that I'm trying to project? So then the second more complex dilemma came into my mind, that I am trying to project Alamelu Manga as a Mugdha Naika, who is newly married to Lord Venkateshwara. Again, like how so many of you discussed, we have always seen her as somebody who's very proud. From my childhood, whenever I've gone to Tiruchanur, I have seen her as a mother who's like, I am here, I'll guard you, don't worry. That kind of a feeling. So how do you show her as this coy, docile bride who wants to impress Lord Venkateshwara? So that was my second dilemma. And I think again, coming to the music of it, so when the music flowed, I initially thought, oh no, I might not be able to do so many, ideations, so many narrations might not come because the lyrics look straight. Sati garva midi ni tejamu kada. How many times are you going to say ni tejamu, ni tejamu, ni tejamu? So how do you even do it? That is when something that Anupama Akka had once told in one of her workshops came into mind, that basically you cannot forget about the composer. So Annamaya is a Sri Vaishnavite follower. So he follows the philosophy of Sri Vaishnavism. And in Sri Vaishnavism, there is this concept of the process where the Paramatma and the Jivatma are two different concepts, yet they are part of the whole. So that Shesha Sheshi Bhava is what I try to incorporate. When every time I said, okay, then you are the main character, come on now, but she is also a reflection of you. She's also a part of you. So that happened. So this gotten so internally so much that I started feeling like a newly married bride actually. The same piece, then if I would have done 20 years back when I was married, probably would have come out more naturally to me. But now you've been into that marriage, you've been the Mugdha, Madhya, Praudha Naika. Now going back to that Mugdha Avastha was kind of tricky and challenging for me. So I would sit in my mind, I'm going somewhere, I'm traveling with my kids. I went on a vacation with my kids in December. So I'm sitting there, they're talking about something of their experience. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm Mugdha. So if I do this, how will I look? If I do that, how will I look? So the kids are like, can you please turn this side and do? The people outside are wondering what you're up to when they look out of the car. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. I will try and, hold on to it until I go back. So that is how much I tried to internalize it, because otherwise it would not have come quite easily, showing that coy bride. That was one thing. And there was a confusion about how much to show her as pining for him. So that I had that dilemma of, there was that underlying viraha for me, because she wants to impress him. She wants him there. So either she is there in his presence or in his anticipated presence all the time. So there's that viraha, and then there is that layering of Swadhinapatika also. Sometimes when she says, hey, he's mine, that Lord of Seven Hills is mine. So that dichotomy of that Virahot Kandita or the Swadhinapatika always went hand in hand for me towards throughout the piece. Where at the end of it, I finally showed her as Swadhinapatika. Again, when she is Mugdha, to express your desires, it was quite difficult for me. So how do you even show it? So that is when I use, again, like how Pratiksha said, I was wondering, should I use Annamaya as the narrator or should I use Sakhi as a narrator? I thought using Annamaya might bring a different flavor. But again, it all brought me back to my vision of saying, no, my aim is to show her as this Mugdha Naika. So let me not deviate from there. Let that get established. Then, like everyone said, we will work, rework, and rework on this piece. So when that was my vision, I said, okay, let's keep the Sakhi, and let's keep the Sakhi as a Praudha Sakhi. So she is the one who's telling her all the ways in which she can woo Venkateshwara. But there is some part of Almero Manga that is hesitant to show, because she doesn't want Venkateshwara to think that, she's showing this sense of entitlement. Because of two reasons. One, because she is married to him. And two, because she is royalty from birth. So she doesn't want that to happen. But she's so enamored, she's so waiting to impress him, that she's ready to try everything that the Sakhi is telling her to try. So, but she's so desirous of him, and she's so enchanted by him and his presence, that in spite of walking in golden sandals, I don't know how she could do it, because it's quite tricky walking in golden sandals. You can't even imagine it. And quite noisy, if I'm correct, assuming it's like gold metal going.
It will not be gold slabs. It will be like sandals made of gold, thread or gold, something to do with gold.
No, so in my mind, it was like, entire gold sandal. She's quite capable, so let's keep her that way.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, she could hear his approaching footsteps. So, and when she was being coaxed to eat a fragrant betel nut and leaf, though she was eating such a fragrant one which masks all the other fragrance, she could still, smell him approaching her.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, let's. That is how much she is desirous of him, and she wants to impress him. So that is what I've tried to portray, where I say the Sheshi Bhava also involved in it, where I tell Venkateshwara, you're the sun, she's the moon, so she's just taking your rays and giving it to us. And there is, so like that, a couple of ideations, but one particular ideation, I thought, let's reverse this. Why should, she's probably having that pride that she is this, she is unable to show it to him directly. So we will still keep her as the moon, but a proud one at that. So because of the moon, there are tides coming higher and higher in the sea. So Venkateshwara becomes the sea and she is the moon. So that is what the Sakhi is trying to portray through this. But it was a lot of learning experience for me, because like I think Shweta ji said, so many ideas start coming. It so happened that when I actually recorded it in auditorium. So we have our usual team. So when I did, and he captured it from various angles. So when I did it the first time, there was an idea that came. And the second time, something else came. So he stopped me immediately. He said, no, this is not what you did last time. I said, correct, but then the idea is flowing. What do I do? He said, ma'am, I cannot edit two things. You're doing two different ideas. How will I edit and make one? Yes. So that happened. So I hope to work and rework on this piece. And thank you for that beautiful going back memory down lane, because that is probably how I felt when I newly got married at 22. I want to impress my husband, but I don't know what to do, whether it's right or wrong. So I've been there, I've done that. So it was nice.
There
it was
and done
fun.
that. Yeah, so this is beautiful. See, this is why, in the first NatyaKeertanam, when we started NatyaKeertanam 2 years back, we never thought of this panel discussion initially. But I don't know, me and Deenababu Garu were discussing and we were talking and we were thinking to ourselves that so much process is there, each dancer, what we see, the final product for that 12 minutes, 9 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever product we are seeing is the result of so much of process, so much of churning, so many years of training, so many perspectives, so many different ways of thinking. And we felt that, people should know, people should understand what goes into this. It is not that you just take a song, read the line and dance it. It's never that, and it should never be that. Actually, if someone's doing that, I won't be happy. If someone's just taking a song and saying, okay, I read the line and I dance it immediately, no. You have to, what I always say, even in my workshops, I say you have to sit and meditate upon the piece. Literally, it is like a sadhana that you do. It's a kind of a sadhana, not almost equivalent, I think, to a spiritual sadhana, where you're sitting and you're meditating on the piece and you're begging that piece to reveal its secrets to you. Literally, you are saying, come on, tell me, what are you? What are you trying to say? How do I understand you? So it's almost like that kind of a process. And this whole thing that we did today, I think it's so important. It's so important for later dancers who are coming, the younger dancers, even the, your contemporaries, my contemporaries. I think it's very important for people to listen to each of you express how the piece spoke to you all. And unless, and I'm sure people who take the time and watch this panel discussion, because even last year, the panel discussion went to 2 hours. Because of course, when you have Priyadarshini Govind and, Vidya Subramaniam and people like that sitting there and explaining their process, they will have a lot to say, So even though it went for 2 hours, it was so nice because it got so much viewership. And a lot of people messaged me saying, after listening to the dancers, we are even more curious to see how the piece looks, and how the piece works on screen. So I think that is it's a very important process. And I mean, I've asked everyone what I wanted to ask everyone, but if anyone wants to add something, about Annamacharya, or about your experiences, or about Abhinaya or anything, please feel free to add. Because I don't want to make this a very restricted time zone oriented thing. Both of us, Deenababu Garu and me, both don't believe in, that kind of containing, the whole idea. We want it to be free flowing. So do share if you have anything more which you would like to say, or which you would, which just came to your mind when the others were talking. So do let me know if you have anything more to say. I'd love to hear from you.
Akka, what I felt, I was listening to all of them, it was so interesting that each piece is so different,
Yes.
right? But how relevant it is even today, to this time that we are living in.
Yes.
How a woman responds to a man, how the Saki is talking to a younger Saki. These are things that happen, like how Shweta was saying, wish we have friends who directly tell us, do this,
Yes.
and then you'll get the result. Because most often you're searching for answers. Ultimately, you have to find the answer within yourself. But,
Yes.
these are very interesting things. And it will keep growing more and more is what I feel. So the relevance of it is very interesting.
Yes,
and the humor
absolutely.
sense, there's both humor, there is depth, there's intensity, you get all the flavors in it. So that's very interesting.
And that is a very typical feature of Annamacharya also. You can pick up any song of Annamacharya and it will speak to you across the ages. You know that there is no age related thing. And he's so, not only is he explicit, there is that sense of directness. Like, there is one song in which he simply looks at him and he says, Nive po alamelu manga vibudu. So the using of the word po there, we're like, what? Why is he saying po to Venkateshwara? But, it's like in Telugu, we have a word which says balla guddadam. So it is like, there is a table and you're pounding on the table and making a point even stronger. So he says, there is no doubt you, man, you are the husband of Alamelu Manga. It's like he's stressing on the idea. So he doesn't have any qualms about using any kind of, term if he has to make a point. So that's what is very interesting about it. And yes, I totally agree with Navya. Any other observations? It will be great to hear from you all.
I think for one of the, sorry, go ahead, Pratiksha.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Shweta. You started.
I think one of the things that I really enjoyed through this process is collecting metaphors where there were none. I mean, he was actually telling you little things, but then for me, it becomes a metaphor to use in another scenario between lovers. And I think that kind of learning that happens through compositions is very interesting. I think with Annamaya being explicit, what he says explicitly is actually what we call a hand or an idea for some time to talk about two lovers. And I think that kind of learning is very interesting because we come across situations where, I think they say that no idea is new, right? Somewhere at some point, someone has thought about it and it has come to you at that moment. So, but how do you keep learning from them and how do you refresh your mind with the simple idea of love and, and whatever the fights that happen and not to keep things, I feel like having having had a conversation with Alamelumanga, it's given me a sense of how a Saki can speak in different ways to the same friend, right? Different tones. You can't always be stuck in the same tone.
No.
But this tone of judging, testing your friend's mood and then speaking is very important. And I think it's almost like a technique that you will now have with you going forward in that sense, right?
Yes.
For me, collecting metaphors through the composition was also very interesting. That was one thing I really enjoyed, because it was so simple, yet it was so poetic and beautiful that you were like, okay, this is something, that can be kept inside your book of metaphors. I think that was interesting.
Totally. I totally understand this. Pratiksha, yes. What were you saying?
After like this panel discussion, I'm really feeling, they say, sometimes they say Bharata might not have been one person, because Natya Shastra has been written in so many different, it has so many different things that probably one person could written so many, such a diverse book. But I don't know, I just feel, after all this, could Annamacharya just be one man, that too, one person who's written
so many diverse
compositions in so many different perspectives in just one lifetime, being a man. Sometimes they say, I don't know, they say women experience more emotions, but I think he's clearly put that aside and said emotions is something human, it's beyond.
Yes, it's totally human. And, we have the whole, anything that is related to emotion, whether comes from a male body or a female body, it's a very highly feminine, it's a feminine side. So that is why, even Krishna Bhakti, you have that Krishna is the only Paramatma and entire Prakriti is only female, because anything that manifests as emotion, anything that manifests is always Prakriti, and it's always feminine. And, he's the only Purusha. So I share your wonder, Pratiksha, because, I've been working with Annamacharya now for over 20 years. I started my research in 1999 and towards the end of mid-1999. And from 2000 to 2006, I was working for my PhD, and, I was granted my PhD in 2006. And from then, I think from 20, now we are 2023. So it's a 23-year-old journey with Annamacharya. And I still am amazed when I come across songs now, whenever I search for songs for NatyaKeertanam, or when I search for songs, to perform, I'm amazed at the range of songs. And I know that a lot of them are written by Peda Tirumalacharya, his son, by Chinna Tirumalacharya, by Tiruvengalanada, by his sons and his grandsons also. Everything is called Tallapaka Sahityam. But still, the kind of poet that he is, I really feel, he should become, especially the Shringara, the Abhinaya aspect of Annamacharya needs to be highlighted, to a great extent, because there is no other poet in Telugu who can parallel or compare with Annamacharya for range and diversity and thought also. So, that the fact that they were discovered very late,
I just feel much more closer to him. And especially by hearing the views and the thought process of 10 brilliant dancers, 9 other brilliant dancers. You just got me more closer to him. So thank you, Deenababu sir and Anupama for this panel discussion.
No, you're most welcome. It's a process for all of us. With each of you speaking about your experience, I feel a little closer to Annamacharya than before, because each one, the way you are talking about your process, the way you have internalized, the words, the sahityam, the whole, the connotations that are flowing through the whole thing. With each person's, words, you get that much closer to the poet. What's called the Kavi Hrudayam, or the heart of the poet. You get a little closer and closer to that with each discussion. So, yeah, anything else? Yeah, Srividya, go ahead. Yeah.
Deenababu Garu, meeku krutajnatalu for envisioning this project. Alochana raavatam okettu, danni ventane, to get it rolling, and then to have now it's edition number 3. And, ilage, I think Pavitra had that water streams come together.
Beautiful.
Ilage ide vidhanga thoughts, Andulo, when we put a poet like Annamacharya at the center of all of these, and these thought streams, they are all merging towards a certain ideal. And all of these poets they're very clever. Yes. They use this one thing of Sringara to lure everybody in. Manchi, yes. It's a wonderful net that they use.
It's a carrot that they dangle. Yeah.
They know that nothing works better than this particular rasa. So everybody is lured in with that. But then, wrapped up in this is, many hidden truths, and that's what they're all trying to nudge us towards. So, Miku, for your thought and for executing this beautiful project. May there be many more editions of NatyaKeertanam with very many gems of Annamacharya and many more dancers being a part of it. Thank you so much, Anupama Garu.
So, to the direction, right? I wanted to.
Deenababu Garu, wait. Nenu first. Now that you have brought up Deenababu Garu, there's something I should tell you all about him. Is that if he says something has to get done, he doesn't mean today, he means yesterday. So, you need to get that thing done yesterday. So because of somebody like that, I was pushed to keep delivering. And he's like, if he says, Anupama Garu, where is this product? I'm like, oh no, not today. I should have got that done yesterday. And as I'm talking to him, if I say, Deenababu Garu, we need to do this, as I'm talking, it will get done simultaneously. So, you need that kind of a mind to be able to, and he and even Panimadhav Garu, whom you can see the image of, our technical director, the person who's bringing all those flyers out, and you will see something very beautiful coming out tomorrow. So, when you see the minds, the combination of Deenababu Garu, and I call them DB Garu and PM Garu. So, just to make my life easier. So, PM Garu's vision also very quietly working in the background. And, when he sends something and I make a suggestion, there will be no reply. He will act on the suggestion. He will act on it, and then he will immediately send me the revised version. So, that kind of thing, so there are so many layers to a project like NatyaKeertanam. The first layer is the intent, that more and more Annamacharya songs should join the repertoire of dance. That is the first very intent. And then somebody like Deenababu Garu executing it with such efficiency, looking at teamwork, looking at who can do this, who can create the music, what do I do, how do I put this whole thing together? And then having the correct team like PM Garu to execute everything, and bring a very beautiful look and a beautiful kind of approach to the whole thing. So I think that is something really I'm thoroughly enjoying actually being a part of NatyaKeertanam, because of the not only efficiency levels, but the thought and the the whole intent behind it is so beautiful. So that's something I thought I must say. Since Deenababu Garu is here and I got him here on screen, and he can't run away.
So thank you, Anupama Garu. It is a teamwork, I would feel, and a lot of times she apply brakes on my speed. I say, Anupama Garu, can we bring out 20 songs? No, Deenababu Garu, a dance practitioner, the whole career they make 15 songs. Exactly. And they make that as a career. You want to bring 20 songs each year? No, let us go slow. So she put the brakes, and I always pray every day, okay, Anupama Garu should not get any workshop opportunities this month. She should not get any ideas to start another workshop. That way my work can move forward. So it's very difficult for her also to manage the time between this and all other activities. And she's also a teaching faculty at the University of Silicon Andhra, and she also does a lot of other things. With that, I think now we are all, this time also we are 2 hours already. Let us bring this to the conclusion. And I'm
before
sure
I just want to share a thought before Deenababu sir
please,
closes the thing. Like how I just felt like how exactly Anupama ma'am said, I selected a song based on what they are, how they are, yet try and push them out of comfort zone. That's exactly what happened to me. Because for me, Abhinaya piece has always been through dramatization. The ideation thing was never a part of my forte at all. So through this, that is one thing that I've learned now, and I've learned it for good. So it feels closer to heart to do ideation than to actually find
And
drama in
dramatization.
every aspect.
Yeah.
That is one thing. And second, when I was listening to all the naikas that were given to each one of them, I somehow feel all of them got connected one way or the other.
Yes.
You started from Muddha, you went to Kandita. So somehow everything got connected. It felt like it exactly came to that process of everything flowing towards him. So that is one takeaway for me, where it can be different at the same time. It all, though it looks different, it's still
There's
the
a
same.
common thread running. Yeah, that's
Yes,
right.
running.
Nice.
And third main point is, I was tired of my students asking me all the time, Akka vai virahot kantita? Akka vai virahot kantita? Every padam, every jamali, every varna. Why is that virahot kantita or kandita? Where are the rest of the naikas that you talk about? So now I know where to find them. So
yes.
thank you for that.
You can find them all in Annamacharya, and they will never behave, in a conventional manner. Thank you. Thank you all so much. A very, very important 2 hours of discussion. And when the panel airs, and the next day and the day after that, the showcase follows, I think it's going to be really something which everyone will look forward to. Thank you all so very much for everything.
So just wanted to conclude, just wanted to say a few words before we wrap up the session. I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for coming forward to be part of this project. Welcome to Sampada family. It is just a beginning. I know a lot of you already have been working with me. It just started with something, and that never ending, that keeps on going, and it is a long-term relation that we look forward to working with you on many such projects in future. And the Pratiksha, the mother, they come, and I organized an event for they performed at the university, and Shweta ji, she was here 2 months ago, and she took time to visit my house to have a coffee, and so didn't eat much anything from us, but she gave time to have coffee with us. So it's a close association. We are part of the family. I welcome you all, and at the same time, all our viewers enjoyed. I'm hoping that they enjoyed listening to this conversation, and they are waiting for a big day. I mean, it's not one day; it's a 2-day event. So we are trying to split this into five songs day 1 and another 5 songs day 2. It is a 2-hour. We want to limit it to 2.5 hours. That way, the viewers also don't get bored, and they also have other things to take care. So viewers, please look out for this space. YouTube, the SAMPADASabha is the channel that we are going to stream this program, and excellent performances lined up. They're all excellent dancers. They took a lot of time, and they use a lot of their creativity to present these items in front of us. Stay tuned, and with that, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank Anupama Garu for leading this discussion, and also my brother Padimadu Kasturi, who is always there with me for anything, helping me in driving, making this project into a reality. With that, I wanted to thank you all once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of the night. Thank you.
Thank you.
नाट्यकीर्तनं 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 कीर्तनम् नाट्य నాట్యకీర్తనం 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 నటరాజుకు నీరాజనం నాట్యకీర్తనం భరతమునికి సమర్పణం నాట్యకీర్తనం నవరసాభినయ సమర్పణం వాగేయ కారణ